Jamie Langham. Langham time. Welcome, welcome, welcome. You're here. I'm so excited. Our inaugural podcast session, to get going and to have you as our special guest,
Pretty awesome.
yeah,
I'm
it's pretty sweet. So, but no, Jamie comes with years and years, just a couple, you just had your, what was it? Your 27th birthday. That's right. Yeah. You've had it a few times, but
It's okay.
yeah, but it's a good one. 27's a good age,
Yeah,
so,
it is.
but you've had, I've known you for a long time,
Hot minute.
a couple days. And, I feel like we, at some point we knew that we'd be working together. And, I didn't know how this journey would end up and where we're at now. I always knew that I would be on this journey, but it was one of those things. It's who would be on the ride with you, right, so to speak.
Yeah.
So Jamie was one of our founding members in the investment. When I came to her and I said I want to start my own automotive group, and Jamie pushed her chips in right with me. She said let's do it. And was a silent investor for the first 15 months. About 15 months. I mean, I remember when I bought one store, I didn't even tell you I bought it. I was like, oh, by the way, I bought this store. And you were like, what? You bought that? I was like, oh, yeah, we close in like 2 weeks.
What are we doing?
Yeah,
I'm like, okay, well, how about it?
Let's go.
I was truly silent.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But, now with you coming aboard, you've been on the team for what, 90 days or going on 120?
Yeah,
or
it's probably
4 months?
end of October. End of October,
Okay.
basically.
Yeah.
So November, December.
Yeah. So, you've been on the team. You came aboard as the COO. I mean, ultimately, what I was super grateful because I was wearing way too many hats, and it was becoming cumbersome, for what I was doing. I was trying to grow the company and trying to, steer. But I'm also, I was working in my business and on my business all at the same time. And, depending on the day, which one's my master, right? So that was a difficult, path for me. And, I'm such a, in my head, like I'm such a high performer and I want to win at everything. Well, I found it difficult to wear, both hats, so to speak, and be great at both things.
I could remember having conversations with you thinking, oh, he's killing himself.
Yeah.
He's literally killing himself.
But, I found a way to do it.
You did.
I didn't sleep a lot, even less than what I normally sleep in those times. But when you came aboard, like, you've been able to have an impact, instantaneously. I mean, and you've been able to allow me to focus on the things that I've become really good at, which is, growing the company and acquisitions. And I mean, shoot, the last store that we bought, Jamie, I mean, since you've been on the team, we've bought 2 stores.
I do. Oh, I know.
And so,
I do. Yeah.
Right at that 4-month mark, we've bought and closed on 2 stores. The last acquisition, we did it in 75 days from the day that we signed the contract to the day we closed. Now, they'll tell you guys that 75 days is not enough time to set up for a store. But, I'm trying to, get the best out of people, So I just figure that if I can get it closed in 75 days, you guys, that should be enough time for you guys to get everything else, right?
Absolutely. And I will say, 75 days was a short amount of time, but by golly, we did it.
We did it. Yeah. We're selling cars and making money.
Yeah.
So
we did it.
And, we have our this one's a little bit longer. It's about 90 days. I gave
so generous. To me.
I gave you guys a few extra days.
You're so good to me.
But I feel like right now, like what I do is, we have our weekly meetings and we do all these things. But, I go from one closing table to basically start working on the next closing table, right? Like that's my mindset is
right.
Like, we have momentum, we have the team, which, you're one of the reasons that I'm able to keep doing that, because at a certain point without people like you, joining the team and taking my vision, so to speak, and turn it into a reality, I would have had to stop and slow down, and I would have had to take a breath, and I don't like that, Jamie. Like
I'm aware.
I just don't like that. I want creation. I want I want to be able to run. And, I have people like you that pick up and clean all the shit that I leave when I'm running, right?
I would say we're both in our area of genius.
Yeah.
You are so good at that. I wouldn't want to do that portion of it.
Yeah.
But I like putting systems and processes in place and leadership, growing leaders.
Hallelujah. Thank you. Taking that off my plate. There we go.
That is the part that I enjoy in the whole process.
Yeah. Well,
you amaze me sometimes. You're like, this deal. I'm like, which deal are we talking about? Which one are we? Where are we at now?
Yeah. Well, I don't know why. I've always people always give me a hard time about this, and my wife specifically, because I remember everything.
You do remember everything.
I don't know why, and I don't know how. At some point in my life, there was a switch that got flipped, or something happened, and I even as a kid, I was the guy that my dad would be like, "Hey, if you do this, I'll do this," and then 7 months later, I'd be like, "Hey, you said that I could get this if I did this," and he'd be like, "I don't remember that." I'd be like, "Well, actually." It was on March.
It was on this day.
It was on March 2nd. We just had breakfast. You had an omelet. I had 2 eggs over easy. And this is what you said. And he was like, "How do you remember that?" I don't know. But yeah, we start looking at these deals, and I just remember the numbers. I love math.
You do. Yeah, I like math. You take math to a whole nother level. I like math. Numbers don't lie.
Yeah.
You take it to another level.
Well, math
it's impressive.
It's beautiful, right?
It
because
is, yeah.
I mean, and there might be math that I don't know about that, where 1 + 1 doesn't equal 2. I don't like that math. If there's math like that, I don't like that. Math is simple to me because it always relies in one answer. That it doesn't lie to you, right? So that's for me. It's I like chaos, but it's the one thing that's pure in my chaos, right? So if I look at math, I know if I look at a deal and I look at one of these dealerships and I say, well, this is our expense structure. This is how many cars that they're selling. This is how many cars that it should be selling. Worst case scenario under our leadership, and this is better case, and best case, right? And I look at it and I say, well, this store pencils, all right, or hey, no, this store doesn't pencil, right? And we've looked at those. I mean,
right.
And there's been stores that I wanted so bad,
tempting.
Yeah, you want because you want, but I've told myself I don't chase deals anymore. And I'm glad that I have someone like you that I can bounce this stuff off of because, chasing a deal sometimes can be tempting, right? And brands, right? You start getting some of these Hondas and Toyotas and a whole auto mall of just power brands. And then you pencil it and the only way it makes sense is if you pay cash, so it's funny. I've come to a term for those now. So I call those legacy plays, right? So 10 years from now when we have, 500 million sitting in the account, we'll be in a position to where we can buy a legacy play. Sure. We can buy a store that if we pay cash, it pencils, right? And because it's, we want to own a market, and then you got to figure out how to make it pencil even better, that's your goal, right? But having you on the team and seeing what you've done with the leaders that we have now, I've always said that I find people that are better than me at things that I'm not good at. That was always kind of my superpower, right? Yeah. I mean, every leader that I've ever worked for, they always said, "How do you get these people? How do you get people?" I don't know. That's one of my, that and math and remembering stuff. Those are my 3 things that I'm really good at. And then, I find people like you that are killers in the industry, that literally when you walk into a room, you demand a level of respect because people know that you're not just someone that is a coattail person, and we know there are a lot of coattail people in this industry.
Yes, there are.
Yeah,
there are.
But you're not one of those people. So why don't you tell us a little bit, about yourself and some of your philosophies? I'd love to. I feel like I probably know all these things.
I'm sure you do.
But I will say, there's a lot of times that we have conversations and we're talking about stuff that I learn things about you all the time, and I've known you a long time, which is, one of the great things about friendship is, you're constantly evolving and learning and new things about your friends.
Yeah, I would agree. Well, I've been doing this stint in the car business now for 29 years. I, like everyone else, did not get into the car business thinking it was going to be my career. And here I am 29 years later. It's addictive. I believe that the car business is just a math problem. That's it. And if you do the right things, there's processes that if you follow these processes, you do the right things, it literally works out to a math problem and you win at the end. So
and I love math. So
and you love math. That's probably why we get along so well.
That's why, exactly. That's
It
right.
is.
Yeah.
It
Philosophy, two philosophies coming together.
Yeah. I remember you when you were, I don't even know how old you were, but you were a salesman for a short stint at a Honda store that I was a director of finance at. And I thought, oh, he's full of piss and vinegar.
Yeah, that's a nice way to say that, I have a big ego. I appreciate that. Piss and vinegar, you know what I mean? Yeah, we'll run with that.
That was my very first experience with you and your brother.
Yep.
He worked with me. Then, we came back around. We kind of knew each other, kind of stuck with your brother kind of in between. Then we ended up we were basically married at a store that was a Toyota Lexus store that we had to get along.
We did.
Which we did well.
Yeah. Yeah,
no.
I think that has been one of the great things about like our working relationship is like sometimes I can be a firm hand, in how I make decisions, right? Like, cause like I look at it so, the math side of things, like it's like, well, this is the answer. So like we got to make the decision, and but we're also in a people business.
Correct.
So I feel like you've kept me grounded in that sense, right? Like people will get behind me, but at the same time, like you have this effect on people. I won't call it what everybody says it is.
That I'm mom.
The mom. I wasn't gonna say hey, you said it. She said
it's
it.
It's
she
all right. It's okay.
But everybody calls you.
It's either mom or boss lady.
Yeah,
Those are the two things I get called.
Yeah, boss lady. I've heard that 1,000 times. But it's true. Like it's a good counterbalance.
Yeah, I would agree.
For people that want to come join the team and see the opportunities within our growing organization. I mean, people probably do think I'm crazy, and they probably think you're crazy. I mean, you left. I left a massive Toyota Lexus store that was highly profitable.
Yep.
To found my group in a town of 12,000 people. Yep. Probably crazy. But, all entrepreneurs, anybody that you read in Fortune 500, people thought they were crazy too.
Yeah. And, I did. I left a very stable situation.
I like how you said that, stable.
Yeah, it was very stable.
Very stable, yeah.
But I also, because I was an early investor, I decided that, hey, I'm going to bet on me too. Like I'm making millions for an organization that at the end of the day, it really isn't tied to me.
Yeah. They appreciate their McLarens that you're buying.
For sure. For sure. And I didn't even begrudge them that. Good for you. Good for you.
Yeah.
But I took a risk on me that, I invested early on. I can still remember us sitting in that Starbucks.
You got the picture, right?
I do have the picture.
Got the picture.
I said I'm going to take a picture today so that we have this to look back on.
Look at that. We took that picture just over 2 years ago.
Yep.
Because, of course, we got everything, and the company was founded, just over 18 months ago. But we sat in that Starbucks, and we had someone take that picture just at 2 years ago. And, I mean, look at this. 2 years.
Yep.
We have 6 dealerships. We're about to have our 7th dealership. We're looking at more. We're looking at some ones that will literally probably make you sleep a little bit better at night. Some of the deals we have coming down the pipe. Because like it's honest. When we buy an underperforming store, like we're not going into stores that a lot of times the people are amazing. They just haven't been given clear set expectations, which is what you do, right? Like you come in, and I won't steal your thunder. Like, what do you do? Like day one. So like, well, how about this? Let's say day 3, because day 1 we come in. It's like a bull in a china shop.
Yes, it is.
It's a bull in a china shop. Everybody's like looking around,
I know.
Eyes big, like like baby deers.
I spend the whole time saying, "I promise it's going to be okay. I promise. I promise we're not that bad. I promise it'll be good. I promise."
Day 2 is when the money usually gets transferred, and I'm usually red and saying
pacing.
Oh yeah, well me. I like talking and walking and talking. Like my brain works better, a little bit when I'm walking and talking. Then in day 3. 3 is when we've officially, it's ours. And normally day 3 or day 4, you guys tell me to leave because I'm more of a distraction.
Yes.
And then you guys basically like what I'm out of the store. I walk out and I'm going to buy the next one.
I'm aware.
What do you do? What's your day 1?
So I am assessing for like all of the people, because after you leave, people, and I don't like to tell my title. Very rarely will you hear me introduce myself as that.
Yeah.
I just want to see how people react around me, just as just me.
Right.
So I'm assessing all the people, looking at the talent pool, seeing what how they perform. I'm looking at the numbers. We get financial statements ahead of time, but until you really get into a store, you don't really know like what's going on at the core level.
Yeah.
We can kind of know, but just
we have an idea.
We have an idea.
And the fact is like we're restarting that idea because like
we want to make it ours.
Well, not only that, but like the expense structure day 1 is reset, right?
Correct.
Like we don't have their same expense structure. In most situations, our expense structure, because of our partnership with the fund, is dramatically less, than maybe there was, because maybe they were a little bit more leveraged. So like we're walking in a lot of situations and like we're taking over an existing business, but we're rebuilding the framework from the ground up, right? And I mean that's what you're talking about.
Yeah. So I'm looking at everything. We're putting our processes into place. We have a great partnership with Techion for our DMS.
Yep.
Love them. We're, our CRM, we have DriveCentric. So we're teaching people how to use our systems.
Well, it's forward thinking, right?
It is.
I mean,
yes.
it is not the old, the old school CRM. You know what I mean? It's very intuitive, but it's one of those things. I hear you say this all the time, and I love it. It's like like Techion and Drive, like a lot of our tools, like there's so much.
Yes.
So
it's what I love about them
Yeah.
is that you can do anything in
Yep.
them. But what I hate about them is that you can do anything in them.
Right, yeah.
Because it's almost like too much for people to comprehend. So we try to, make it simple
Yeah.
in the beginning. Like, these are the basics.
KISS, right?
This is, yes, keep it simple.
Yep.
This is what you need to do to start. This is all you need to know. And then once you like have your footing and you're
That's right.
going, then we can dive a little bit deeper. One of the things I love about Techion, because I too love numbers, is their dashboard.
Oh, yeah.
You can look, you can track, you can see where the stores are at. You can catch it before it's too late. Fix a month.
Yeah.
Before it goes.
We know
down
about
a
fixing
rabbit
months,
hole.
don't we?
We do know about fixing months.
We know about fixing months. I mean,
We do.
that is one of the great things about like the data. Earlier, I was talking with Ralph, the fund manager for the private equity, prime dealer equity fund, and we talked about like the data, and like me and you, like we started in the business when there was no such thing as data. Like
no.
the only data that we had was the data that we tracked, which typically was what we did, how many cars
I wanted to track.
Yeah,
Yes.
or how many cars we sold this month last year. Like that was, it's so funny. Like that's what I remember when I first started in the business was like, last September we sold 110 cars. We're gonna sell 115. No way to do that. We just like that was what we did, right?
That's just what you do.
But now, so we have this unique part of the business where like we have people that were gut driven, that only led by gut, right? I feel this is what the market might be doing. And then we have the new cut of data. It's only data. They don't have any gut, feeling. So like I love that me and you, like we were able to come into the career to where we come from an industry of gut and data. So it allows us to lead a little differently than a lot of people out there.
Yeah. And I also, it is a people business and the people matter.
They do.
It is such, I cannot stress enough that a failing store with the right people just flips around almost immediately.
Yeah.
We're proving that at our Mount Pleasant store.
Yep.
You put the right people in there and a leader that is a hustler and wanting to do things, some energy. Also, when we go into some of these stores, you can just feel the energy, and it's not the last two, at least for my experience, it hasn't been good. Like the energy is low, and that's not our ammo. Like
if anybody that's watching this has picked up, you know, we have a little bit of energy, like a little bit. Typically, we aren't the people in the morning that need the triple espresso to get going. Like normally, the for me, I know you don't even drink coffee.
I don't.
I've never seen this lady
I don't drink coffee.
Drink a coffee in my entire time knowing her.
Don't even like the smell.
No, it's funny. Like she likes Starbucks for the cups.
Yeah, because they're cute.
Yeah. So I remember one time she was like, "Hey, so the new Christmas cups came out. Will you go get me a tea? But make sure it's in the Christmas cup." You know.
I do. Hey, it matters.
Yeah, that's right.
It does.
But you're right. I mean, the feeling, like, so that was always so funny you bring that up. Like, I used to take that as the greatest compliment as a general manager or a sales manager or a GSM, like when I was in that portion of my career. When my owners or my directors would walk into my store and they would say, "Kyle, like, I love walking into your store."
Yeah.
Like, it invigorates me. Like, it's a feeling, like it's almost an untangible in the car business. Like when you walk into a store and that idea of electric, right? Like it feels like there's electricity literally in the air.
Yeah.
You know, I've literally get my hair on end just thinking about like that feeling because like
I know what you're saying.
It's true. Like, man, I loved when my leaders would tell me that, when they'd say, "Kyle, like I love coming to your store. Sometimes I just like to come to your store to energize myself," you know?
And the even better than that is when a customer would walk into my office and just say, I just love the vibe of the store. Like you can just feel everybody loves working here. Yeah. Everybody enjoys it. You can tell that your people want to come to work.
Yeah.
And to me, that was, my people are like, when I did leave that stable dealership, that was the hardest part, was leaving my people, because I truly believe that the people are what makes the difference.
Yeah.
And I loved them all. You know, Boss Lady was my nickname that everybody gave me, and
AKA, right?
AKA, yeah, and Mom. And to this day, I still talk to them. But the people are really what matters, and they make the biggest difference. I've been doing interview as you keep buying stores. I've today.
Keep you busy.
You are keeping me busy. I'll be doing my third today, meeting with people. Just to keep our bench full and the right people, because you need the right person for the right store. Yeah. And it doesn't mean that person might not be better for another store.
That's right.
It depends on the area. It depends on the brand.
Right people on the right spot on the bus, right?
Right people. Yes.
Yeah.
Seat on the bus.
Right seat on the bus. You know, think about it. We have 4 general managers that started in sales with me. I promoted to sales manager, finance manager, general sales managers. They've worked their ways up over the course of the time that I've known these guys. You know, like we have people on our team that like don't have college degrees, but they walk in and they demand respect in the sense of, because people know that they're impact players, right?
Absolutely. Like and I would put my money on any one of them.
Yeah.
Any one of them. They are, they're true. I always call them hustlers, and I know it sounds like a bad word, but it really isn't. It's like they're just hungry and they're driven, and it's respectable. Yeah, they do a great job.
So I was talking with one of our new GMs the other day, and he was talking about, he's like, man, he's trying to build his bench. He's trying to build his bench, and he's like, he was a finance manager, and he was an incredible finance manager. He was our best finance manager in the company.
Yes.
Which just so you're aware, like, think about, for anybody that's listening to this, like, we're not afraid to lose our best finance manager in the company.
Yeah.
To promote him to be a GM because he's earned it. Like,
he absolutely earned it. We all had that conversation.
Correct.
We're like, he has absolutely earned the right to be offered this position. Whether he takes it or not, we didn't know if he would or not. But
and let's be honest,
absolutely earned the right.
And he's taken a step back because anybody that knows the car business
Yeah,
knows that
he was-
finance
yeah.
is, you know, if you're the
He was
best,
crushing it. Yeah,
you
he was
make
crushing it.
great
Yeah.
money.
Yeah.
You know, so like he's like I love that on himself. Like he's taken a you know a risk
A
on
risk,
himself.
yeah.
He's pushing the chips in. Like
Yep.
that's what life's about, right?
It is.
Are you going to be the person that pushes the chips in on yourself, or you know you're going to be sit back and watch everybody push the chips in and win? You know.
Well, I decided I was pushing the chips in on myself.
Well, I know that.
So here
I
we
know
are.
that. But no, I was talking with him, and he was like, you know, what did you look for, Kyle, when you are looking for the next generation, right? And I always something kind of an analogy I always said is I was like, hey, I want an exercise I did every morning is I'd walk in and I'd look at my team and I'd say, I want to look at my team as if I'm looking 2 years from now. Right? I look at it as in the future, right? Because like we're always planning for the future.
Yeah, you have to be.
You have to be, right?
Yeah.
You know, always, you know, increasing your bench. You're looking at the future and you're saying, is the team that I have now in that picture of what my dream team, you know, the 96 Bulls, so to speak, right? Is that my team? And if they're not, that's okay. Can they be? And what's the link from them becoming that person? And sometimes they're not the right people,
Sure.
right? And
Yeah.
you know, or maybe they're in the wrong spot, like we talked
Wrong
about.
seat. Yep.
So I told him, I was like, man, you know, there's an intangible that like I would rather hire someone that has energy and believes that they have the ability to be successful versus the guy that's maybe pedigreed and, you know, college degree and like, you know, like there's just something like someone that's willing to bet on themselves. Like there's something about a feeling that you can get. Like that's where I was talking about like the gut. Cause like some of my best hires on paper ended up being my worst hires. Right.
Yeah. We've talked about that many times.
And some of the ones that like they came in, you know, maybe a little disheveled in the way their appearance is, but like they're like, Kyle, like if you bet on me, like I won't let you down.
Yeah.
Like, I'll take that guy 9 times out of 10. And I said, that's what you need to be. That's what you need to find. You need to find people that have an energy level that matches the energy that you're looking for in your store. And if you can do that, like you're right, the energy at the store is like, it's electric.
It is, and it's contagious for the customer, you know, for the employees. But I think the employees, you know, I'm working on an operating manual. I want to be able to, we go in and we train everybody and we show everybody, you know, exactly what they're supposed to do. Like these are our processes. They're written down, but you know, they're not necessarily in one spot. Yeah. So I want my vision, and I started working on it, is just a book where there's a tab for literally everything in the store that you can just flip to, and you know how to stock a car in. Yeah. You know how to desk a deal. You know how to do a finance deal. All of it, down to you know, our core beliefs, what we believe in, making sure that, because happy employees create happy customers. Yeah. So
that's the first step.
It is absolutely the first step.
If your staff is pissed off, your customers probably will be too.
Very, very much so. Very much so. Because that bleeds.
Yes.
Yeah,
yes,
it does. Yeah.
You know?
So, you know, I think the people are the most important thing. But the rest of it, to me, it's just a math problem. It really is. Like, we know how many phone calls you need to make in order to get a certain number of people in front of you, in order to sell a certain number of cars. Like, it's literally a math problem. So, you know, if somebody is struggling, if a store is struggling, I go look at, okay, so here's your amount of leads. This is the amount of activities you've done. This is the amount of phone calls that you've done. If you increase it by this, you will be able to move your month to where you need it to go. Yeah. It is so simple that I think people try to make it
complicated,
so much more difficult than it actually is. It's literally just a math problem. That's all it is. So,
I mean, math. The car business is math.
It is.
It's math. It's math and people.
Math and people.
I think we can, you know, we can put it down to that. And you know, the people part. I mean, you know, I would say that's a part of the business that, in most companies, is the most difficult piece, right? You know, because you can have A players, and it's sometimes difficult to get an A player to leave. Like, you know, you pushed the chips in. You left, I left. We did this crazy thing. You know, we're on this ride. but not everybody has the ability to do that.
Right.
So, like that's the evolution. Earlier, I was talking with Ralph and, before you joined us, and, I was telling him, like, we're at an evolution. We're at a crossroads in the company. We can continue on our path, and we can continue to buy stores that we're buying, where we come in, we rebuild, people. But I think that, it's a two-path thing. So we're gonna have a portion of our assets that we buy are gonna be underperformers. That's gonna be who we are in our DNA, because like we like the fixed problems.
We do.
Yeah, we do.
Yeah. My superpower, you named yours, is making chicken salad out of chicken.
Yeah.
Shit.
Yeah. That's right.
Yeah, that's my superpower.
Yeah, tasty.
It is. Make it better.
That's right. But we're ready to start buying some of these stores. That the nicest way I can say it is we buy them, we just don't fuck them up. like that. That's the goal, right? Like we start buying some stores.
You get me one of those, and I promise I won't.
Yeah, like that. That's the goal. Like that's what we're doing. The Coleman Prime partnership. Coleman Automotive with Prime. Like that's the path. That's where we're at. We're at a point where we're ready to buy stores that allow us to walk in, and all we do is roll out our people and our processes. We welcome them to the family, and day one, the stores are printing money. It's a heavy cash flowing asset that has layers that allow us to buy more cash flowing assets. And it puts us in a position that within 24 months. So I actually have something I put together. I can't wait to show you offline. But so I know your goals personally. Like we've talked about it.
Yeah.
My goals. Like we're very upfront about that. I know I have the 24-month blueprint. The 24-month blueprint is we're going to have $1 billion in revenue. That's the blueprint.
Okay.
At $1 billion.
I've already done the math in my head.
So
okay.
At $1 billion in revenue, at 4% net to sales, you hit your goal.
Perfect.
You hit your goal. That's 24 months from now. But that's why this equity raise with the fund is so important right now. That's why this capital raise is so important, because this capital raise is the evolution for us to get those stores that have been proven track records of just all you have to do is sit back, you walk in, you say hi, you shake some hands, kiss some babies, and then we leave because you don't want to be there too long, because you don't want to fuck up their magic. You don't want to mess up their magic. Like, like there are those stores where, like when I was a GM, like the directors stayed away from my stores. They didn't.
Yeah.
Like they came into they came into town and they were like, "Hey, so we're gonna go yell at the other GMs. Do you want to go to dinner tonight?" And I'm like, "Yeah, I already got his reservations. We're good to go." But like that's where we're at. That's the path that we're on. Like that's why this capital raise is so important for us right now. It's giving us a chance to buy those consistent cash flowing kings. So.
I like it when you talk like that.
Yeah.
You say nice things. Those are good things.
Yeah.
If we could, even if we just went every other one.
Yeah.
One that was a project, and then the next one we just can't screw it up.
Yep.
And then the next one can be a challenge.
Yeah.
But that's okay.
Yeah. But the challenge is, I mean, if nothing else, it's grit, right?
Yeah, absolutely. I wouldn't change it for anything. I love this. I was actually just texting your wife before this and said she made some comment about like us should know how we do it, basically. And I said, well, believe it or not, there's no way I'm failing. Yeah. Zero. There's not a chance. Kyle's definitely not failing. It's why we get along so well, because we both, we think alike. We have different approaches.
We do.
But we
People
always...
have told us that.
Yes, they have. But we always get to the same place. We just have different approaches. Mine's slightly softer.
Yeah.
However, I can turn even harder than you if given the right situation.
Yeah, I would say that, I'm not like a nuclear bomb. I'm more of like, like a cruise missile. You know what I mean?
And when I see you getting there, I can sometimes step in and say, hey, we should probably like just take her down maybe a notch.
Yeah. But that's the balancing act, right?
It is. But then you've said to me, okay, now, James, now slow down, calm down.
Yeah. Well, and like I think when you look at these uber successful automotive groups, like the groups that have the ability to have open, honest dialogue between their leadership are the ones that are winning right now.
I would agree.
I've worked for groups where everybody just kisses the ass.
Yes, man.
Yeah, and the great thing is those are the companies that I typically rose to the ranks the highest because I wasn't the guy that was willing to.
I know. I watched it.
You never.
Sometimes I'm kicking you under the table, like maybe you should stop.
Yeah,
maybe just a little.
But that's just not who I am. Like,
no, it's not.
If someone asks me what I think it's my job, and like. It's my word, right? Like,
right,
there's in the car business, it's a big little business, right? Like, the only thing that I got is my word. Like, that's it, right?
My reputation. That's all.
That's correct.
I've been asked to work at every position that I've ever been in, besides my first one in the car business, and I take a lot of pride in that. I do. I take pride in my reputation, knowing that I'm a people person. I'm a producer. I take big time pride in that, and I know you do too.
Well, yeah. I mean, if someone asks my opinion, I want them to know that when they come to me, I'm not a yes man, right? And I'm gonna, whether it's what they want to hear, and sometimes as leaders and in a growing company, we have to have that person. We have to have that person that's willing to tell you what you need to hear, not what you want to hear.
And I think we do that well with each other, because there's been many times that I've said, okay, well, you might want to just
look at it this way.
Yeah, look at it this way.
Well, yeah, because as leaders, sometimes we have blinders. We have blinders to some of the things, and that's why having open dialogue within an organization. Like, I worked for a publicly traded a group many moons ago. And one of the things that I loved when we would get into these big leadership meetings is they said the moment that someone gets upset in a meeting usually means we need to have a deeper conversation. Because usually, like, anger and frustration is coming from a place of fear or unknown, or maybe there's trying to hide a little something, right?
Right.
So like defensive, correct. Yeah. So I always looked at it as like, I love that, right? Like, if you can't have an open, honest conversation with your peers, then you're probably not on the right path, or you're probably in the wrong damn room. Right? You know what I mean?
That's probably the case too.
Well, and I mean that like, earlier I talked, my superpower of like, getting people around me. Like, I've always looked at it as, I've always heard that if you're the smartest person in the room, you're in the wrong room.
You're in the wrong room. Yeah.
And I just surround myself with people that are way smarter than me, and then shit just happens and works out really good. I don't know. I mean,
I think you might not be giving yourself enough credit there, but I do agree with what you're saying. Yeah. Definitely surround yourself with people that, because again, people are what make the difference.
Yeah.
So.
Well, Jamie, thank you for being on the inaugural.
I know, I'm pretty excited about it.
Podcast here. It was so exciting. I'm so excited for what you're going to do in the company and take us to the next level.
Yeah. Well, you just wait, because we're just getting started.
Let's do it.
All right.